The morning sun cast long shadows across the grand entrance of Buckingham Palace as tourists gathered for the daily changing of the guard ceremony. Among the crowd stood 8-year-old Emma Martinez, clutching her father's hand tightly while her mother Sarah adjusted the camera settings for what she hoped would be perfect family photos. Emma had been dreaming of this moment for months. Her school project on British royalty had sparked an obsession with castles, crowns, and everything royal. She had practiced her curtsy in front of the bedroom mirror countless times, imagining the day she might meet a real princess. Today felt magical, and the impressive red uniformed guards with their tall black hats made her heart race with excitement. The family had traveled from their small town in Ohio, saving money for 2 years to afford this once-in-a-lifetime European vacation. Emma's parents, Maria and Carlos, worked double shifts at the local factory to make their daughter's dreams come true. This trip to London was the highlight of their journey, and seeing Emma's face light up made every sacrifice worthwhile. As the ceremony began, Emma pressed closer to the golden gates, her small hands gripping the metal bars as she tried to get the best view possible. The precision of the guards amazed her. Their synchronized movements, the gleaming buttons on their uniforms, and the serious expressions on their faces made her feel like she was watching a real-life fairy tale unfold. During a brief pause in the ceremony, Emma noticed something glittering on the ground near the guard post. Her curious nature, which often got her into trouble at home, kicked in immediately. Without thinking twice, she squeezed through a small gap in the crowd and darted toward the shiny object, her small backpack bouncing behind her. The moment her tiny feet crossed the invisible security perimeter, chaos erupted. The nearest royal guard, Sergeant James Wellington, a veteran with 15 years of service, immediately stepped forward and blocked her path with his ceremonial rifle. His training had taught him to treat every security breach, no matter how small, as a potential threat. Emma froze in terror, her eyes wide as she stared up at the towering figure in the red coat. The object she had spotted turned out to be nothing more than a discarded candy wrapper. But now she found herself face to face with one of the Queen's guards, surrounded by increasingly nervous tourists and the clicking sounds of camera shutters. Her parents pushed through the crowd, calling her name in panic. Carlos reached out desperately, but additional guards had already formed a protective barrier. The situation escalated quickly as security protocols activated automatically. What had started as a child's innocent curiosity was rapidly becoming an international incident. The crowd began to murmur nervously as more guards appeared from seemingly nowhere. Tourist guides started herding their groups back, while police officers materialized at various points around the palace perimeter. Emma's mother began crying, shouting apologies in both English and Spanish, begging the guards to let her daughter return to safety. Emma herself stood frozen, tears streaming down her cheeks as she realized the magnitude of her mistake. The guard in front of her remained stoic and unmovable, following protocol to the letter. Behind his stern facade, Sergeant Wellington felt sympathy for the frightened child, but duty came first. He had sworn an oath to protect the royal family and the palace grounds, regardless of the circumstances. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense as senior security officials were notified of the breach. Radio communications crackled to life, and within minutes, the entire area was under heightened alert. What nobody realized yet was that this seemingly simple incident involving a curious little girl would soon reveal something far more sinister, hidden in plain sight among the gathered tourists. Detective Inspector Rachel Morrison had been enjoying her first day off in 3 weeks when the call came through on her personal phone. The Metropolitan Police needed her expertise immediately at Buckingham Palace for what appeared to be a routine security breach involving a child. As the lead investigator for the Royal Protection Unit, Rachel had handled countless false alarms, but something in the dispatcher's voice told her this was different. She arrived at the scene to find Emma still, trapped in the security perimeter, now sitting on the ground with tears streaming down her face. The guards maintained their positions while her frantic parents pleaded with anyone who would listen. Rachel's heart went out to the family, but her trained eyes quickly assessed the broader situation unfolding around them. The crowd of tourists had grown larger rather than smaller, which struck Rachel as Instead, she noticed several individuals lingering at the edges of the scene, some taking an unusual number of photographs that seemed focused more on the guard positions than the dramatic events with the little girl. Rachel approached Sergeant Wellington, who briefed her on the situation while maintaining his protective stance. As she listened, her attention was drawn to a man in his 30s standing near the Victoria Memorial. Unlike other tourists who were clearly upset or curious about Emma's predicament, this man seemed oddly calm and calculating. He carried a large camera bag and appeared to be documenting the security response with professional precision. While coordinating Emma's safe return to her parents, Rachel signaled to her colleagues to discreetly observe the suspicious photographer. The man had dark hair, wore expensive clothing that didn't quite match his tourist disguise, and most importantly, he seemed to know exactly where to position himself to capture the most sensitive angles of the palace security deployment. As the crowd shifted and moved, Rachel noticed something that made her blood run cold. The photographer was not alone. She identified at least 3 other individuals spread throughout the gathering who appeared to be working in coordination. They communicated through subtle hand signals and maintained strategic positions that would provide comprehensive coverage of the entire palace security response. Emma's situation had inadvertently triggered a complete display of royal security protocols. Every guard position, response time, and communication method was being documented by these mysterious observers. What had begun as a child's innocent mistake was providing these unknown operatives with a detailed blueprint of one of the world's most secure locations. Rachel made a split-second decision that would change everything. Instead of quietly escorting Emma back to her parents and dismissing the incident, she activated the palace's highest security alert level. Code Red protocols immediately went into effect, sealing all entrances and exits. No one could leave the area until further notice. The tourists began to panic as they realized they were essentially trapped. Confused voices rose in multiple languages as people demanded explanations. Parents held their children closer, elderly visitors looked for places to sit, and tour guides attempted to maintain order among their increasingly agitated groups. The suspicious photographer's calm demeanor finally cracked. Rachel watched as he exchanged worried glances with his associates, their carefully planned operation suddenly compromised by her unexpected lockdown order. They had expected to document the security response and then disappear into the crowd, but now they found themselves trapped in their own surveillance web. Emma's parents were escorted to a secure area where they could comfort their daughter while investigators worked. Maria held Emma tightly, whispering soothing words in Spanish while Carlos paced nervously, still not understanding why a simple childhood mistake had led to such an extreme response. The Palace Communications Center buzzed with activity as Rachel coordinated with multiple agencies. Anti-terrorism units were discreetly deployed around the perimeter, intelligence services were contacted, and facial recognition software began processing images of every individual in the crowd. As Rachel studied the 4 suspicious individuals through binoculars, she realized that Emma's innocent curiosity had accidentally uncovered what appeared to be a sophisticated intelligence-gathering operation targeting the heart of the British monarchy. The little girl who just wanted to see, the pretty guards had stumbled into something far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The tension around Buckingham Palace reached a breaking point as Rachel Morrison coordinated the most complex security operation of her career. While Emma sat safely with her parents in a secure area, being comforted by a child psychologist, Rachel focused on the 4 suspicious individuals who remained trapped within the lockdown perimeter. The lead photographer, who intelligence services quickly identified as Viktor Petrov, a known associate of foreign intelligence networks, began showing signs of desperation. His expensive camera equipment, which initially appeared to be standard tourist gear, was revealed through discreet scanning to contain sophisticated surveillance technology capable of intercepting radio frequencies and recording high-definition footage with telescopic lenses. Rachel watched through her command center monitors as Victor attempted to casually dispose of several memory cards by dropping them near a trash bin. Undercover officers immediately secured the evidence while maintaining their tourist disguises. The cards contained hours of footage documenting guard rotations, security camera positions, and detailed architectural features of the palace exterior that were not visible to the general public. The second suspect, identified as Maria Kozlov, had positioned herself near the palace's main communication arrays. Her seemingly innocent phone, upon closer inspection, was actually a military-grade signal interceptor capable of monitoring encrypted police communications. She had been systematically recording the security frequencies used during the incident, information that would be invaluable to anyone planning a future attack on the royal family. Meanwhile, the third operative, David Chen, had been using a child's remote-control toy helicopter to conduct aerial reconnaissance. The small device, which appeared harmless among the many toys carried by visiting families, was equipped with micro-cameras and had been systematically mapping the palace grounds from above. Security footage revealed he had been operating the device for over 2 hours before Emma's incident provided the perfect distraction. The fourth member of the team, Elena Vasquez, had been the most cunning of all. Disguised as a tour guide with a group of elderly visitors, she had been leading them on a carefully planned route that provided optimal viewing angles for photographing sensitive security installations. Her elderly tourists were actually retired intelligence operatives, each carrying concealed recording equipment within their medical devices and mobility aids. As the lockdown continued, Rachel faced increasing pressure from palace officials, who were concerned about the growing media attention. News helicopters circled overhead, reporters gathered beyond the security perimeter, and social media was exploding with speculation about terrorist attacks and royal family safety. The longer the situation continued, the more difficult it became to maintain operational security. Emma's father, Carlos, approached Rachel with tears in his eyes, begging to understand why his daughter's simple mistake had led to such chaos. Through a translator, he explained that they were just a working-class family from Ohio who had saved for years to give Emma this dream vacation. The guilt and confusion on his face broke Rachel's heart, but she could not yet reveal the true scope of what his daughter had accidentally uncovered. The breakthrough came when digital forensics experts analyzed the intercepted equipment and discovered that the 4 operatives were part of a much larger network, planning a coordinated attack during the upcoming royal wedding of Prince William's cousin. The intelligence they had gathered over several months of careful surveillance was intended to identify vulnerabilities that could be exploited during the ceremony, when international dignitaries and millions of television viewers would be watching. Rachel realized that Emma's innocent curiosity had potentially saved countless lives. If the little girl had not accidentally triggered the security response, these operatives would have completed their mission and disappeared undetected. The intelligence they gathered would have been used to plan an attack that could have changed the course of British history. The palace's senior security advisor, Sir Charles Whitmore, arrived to assess the situation personally. A veteran of decades in royal protection, he had never seen intelligence-gathering operations this sophisticated or potentially devastating. The equipment recovered from the suspects represented technology that was years ahead of anything they had previously encountered. As evening approached, Rachel made the difficult decision to extend the lockdown through the night. The 4 primary suspects were now in custody, but intelligence suggested there might be additional operatives in the crowd. Every tourist, every vendor, every person within a mile radius of the palace had to be thoroughly screened before anyone could be released. Emma fell asleep in her mother's arms, unaware that her simple desire to pick up a shiny candy wrapper had exposed one of the most serious security threats in modern royal history. Dawn broke over London with Buckingham Palace still under complete lockdown. Rachel Morrison had not slept in over 24 hours as she coordinated the most extensive security investigation in royal history. The 4 captured operatives had been transferred to secure facilities, but intelligence analysis revealed the scope of their network was far larger than initially suspected. Emma woke up in the secure family room, confused and frightened by the strange surroundings. Her parents had spent the night taking turns staying awake, holding their daughter and trying to process the surreal situation they found themselves in. Palace staff had provided comfortable accommodations and meals, but the family remained essentially prisoners until the investigation was complete. The breakthrough Rachel had been waiting for came when cryptography experts finally decrypted the communications found on the suspects' devices. The intercepted messages revealed a multinational conspiracy involving intelligence operatives from 3 different countries, all coordinating to gather information about British royal security protocols. The target was not just the upcoming royal wedding, but a series of planned attacks designed to destabilize the British government and create international chaos. The information gathered at Buckingham Palace was to be combined with similar intelligence operations at Westminster Abbey, the Tower of London, and other symbolic British landmarks. Victor Petrov, under intense interrogation, finally revealed that their network had been planning this operation for over 2 years. They had placed operatives in various roles throughout London, including hotel staff, tour guides, and even street vendors near royal properties. Emma's accidental security breach had exposed only the tip of a massive iceberg. Rachel coordinated with international intelligence agencies as the scope of the threat became clear. Similar surveillance operations were discovered in Paris near the Élysée Palace, in Madrid near the Royal Palace, and in Stockholm near the royal residence. This was not just an attack on Britain, but a coordinated assault on European monarchies, designed to create widespread panic and political instability. The decision was made to extend the palace lockdown indefinitely, while counterintelligence teams worked to identify and capture the remaining network members. Over 300 tourists and staff members remained trapped within the security perimeter, creating a logistical nightmare for palace administrators. Emma's innocence became a source of strength for many of the detained tourists. Children from other families gravitated toward her, and she began teaching them games she had learned at school back in Ohio. Her natural cheerfulness and resilience in the face of confusion helped maintain morale among the increasingly anxious crowd. Maria Martinez, Emma's mother, found herself comforting other worried parents while dealing with her own fears. She could not understand how her daughter's simple mistake had led to such chaos, but she began to sense from the behavior of the security officials that something much more serious was involved than anyone was telling them. The investigation took a dramatic turn when facial recognition software identified 2 additional suspects who had been hiding among the detained tourists. These individuals had been using sophisticated makeup and prosthetics to alter their appearances, but advanced biometric analysis revealed their true identities. Rachel realized that the entire crowd of tourists might have been carefully assembled. Over time, with legitimate families like Emma's being used as unwitting cover for intelligence operatives, the random nature of tourist gatherings provided perfect camouflage for foreign agents conducting surveillance operations. Sir Charles Whitmore briefed the Prime Minister personally on the developing situation. The threat level was raised to its highest category, and special forces units were discreetly deployed throughout London. What had begun as a little girl picking up a candy wrapper had evolved into a national security crisis with international implications. The media coverage intensified as rumors spread about the nature of the lockdown. Social media was filled with speculation ranging from terrorist attacks to royal family emergencies. The government's official statements remained deliberately vague, citing ongoing security investigations without revealing the true scope of the discovered conspiracy. Emma's father, Carlos, began to understand, through conversations with other detained tourists and observations of the security measures, that his daughter had somehow become involved in something far beyond a simple security mistake. The guilt he felt about failing to watch her more carefully was gradually being replaced by a growing sense of pride that she might have accidentally helped prevent something terrible. As the second night of lockdown began, Rachel received intelligence that suggested the conspiracy extended even further than they had discovered. Intercepted communications indicated that sleeper cells in major cities across Europe were preparing to activate simultaneously, using the intelligence gathered by operatives like those Emma had inadvertently exposed. The third day of the palace lockdown brought unprecedented international attention as news crews from around the world descended on London. The British government faced mounting pressure to explain why hundreds of tourists remained trapped at Buckingham Palace while rumors of terrorist plots and royal family threats spread across global media networks. Rachel Morrison found herself at the center of a diplomatic storm as foreign ambassadors demanded information about their detained citizens. The American embassy was particularly concerned about the Martinez family, especially young Emma, whose innocent face had become a symbol of the mysterious lockdown through photographs that had somehow leaked to international press. Intelligence. Analysts working around the clock finally pieced together the complete picture of the conspiracy. The network they had uncovered was funded by a coalition of hostile nations, seeking to destabilize Western democracies by targeting their most cherished symbols. The British royal family represented not just national identity, but the historical foundation of the Commonwealth nations. Emma, now comfortable in her temporary palace home, had become friends with the children of other detained families. She organized drawing contests, taught American playground games to British children, and even convinced palace staff to let her help feed the Queen's corgis during their daily walks. Her resilience and natural leadership qualities impressed everyone she met. The breakthrough that changed everything came from an unexpected source. Emma's own innocent observations proved crucial to the investigation. During a casual conversation with Rachel, she mentioned seeing some of the mean people with cameras talking in a language that sounded like her grandmother's Spanish, but different. This linguistic clue helped investigators identify previously unknown connections between the suspects and South American criminal organizations. Emma's detailed memory of conversations she had overheard while playing near the detained suspects provided intelligence experts with crucial information about planned escape routes and communication methods. Her child's perspective, unclouded by adult assumptions, revealed patterns that trained investigators had missed. The international scope of the threat became clear when coordinated arrests began in 17 countries simultaneously. Intelligence. Services from NATO allies worked together to roll up the entire network before any remaining operatives could activate backup plans or disappear into hiding. Viktor Petrov, facing life imprisonment, finally agreed to cooperate fully with investigators. His detailed confessions revealed that the attack planned for the royal wedding would have involved not just conventional explosives, but sophisticated cyber attacks designed to cripple Britain's electrical grid and communication systems during the ceremony. The psychological impact of such an attack would have been devastating. Millions of people around the world watching the royal wedding would have witnessed chaos and destruction at one of Britain's most sacred ceremonies. The symbolic blow to Western confidence and stability could have triggered economic collapse and political upheaval across multiple nations. Rachel realized that Emma's accidental intervention had prevented what intelligence analysts now classified as potentially the most significant terrorist attack in modern European history. The little girl who just wanted to pick up a shiny wrapper had saved countless lives and prevented international catastrophe. The decision was finally made to begin releasing the detained tourists in carefully controlled groups. Each family underwent extensive debriefing, and many were offered counseling services to help process their traumatic experience. The Martinez family was among the last to be released due to their central role in uncovering the conspiracy. Emma's parents were finally told the truth about what their daughter had accidentally discovered. Carlos broke down in tears when he understood that Emma's curiosity, which he had always worried would get her into trouble, had instead made her an accidental hero who saved lives across multiple continents. The royal family personally requested to meet Emma before her family's departure from London. Queen Elizabeth II, accompanied by senior members of the royal household, thanked the little girl for her inadvertent service to the crown and the Commonwealth. Emma curtsied perfectly, just as she had practiced in her bedroom mirror back in Masim. Ohio media coverage of the incident was carefully managed to protect Emma's identity, while acknowledging the role that civilian alertness played in preventing the attack. The official story credited enhanced security measures and international intelligence cooperation, without revealing the specific details that might compromise future operations. Emma's school back in Ohio prepared a hero's welcome for her return, though she remained unaware of the full scope of what she had prevented. To her, the adventure had been scary, but exciting, and she was most proud of the new friends she had made and the royal corgis she had helped feed during her stay at the Palace. 6 months after the incident at Buckingham Palace, life had returned to a new normal for the Martinez family in their small Ohio town. Emma attended school regularly, played with her friends, and seemed to have adapted well to the sudden fame that followed her accidental heroism. However, the global implications of what she had uncovered continued to unfold in ways that would reshape international security for years to come. Rachel Morrison received a promotion to head the newly created International Royal Protection Coordination Unit, established specifically to prevent similar threats across all European monarchies. Her experience managing the palace crisis and coordinating the international response made her the obvious choice for this groundbreaking position that would standardize security protocols across multiple nations. The intelligence gathered from the dismantled network led to the discovery of similar surveillance operations at historic sites across America, including the White House, Capitol Building, and Statue of Liberty. Emma's accidental intervention had exposed a global conspiracy that targeted not just monarchies, but the symbolic foundations of democratic societies worldwide. Emma herself remained largely unaware of the full scope of her impact. She treasured the personal thank you letter from Queen Elizabeth II, which arrived with a beautiful charm bracelet featuring miniature replicas of the crown jewels. Her bedroom wall displayed photographs of her meeting with the royal family, alongside her original school project about British royalty that had started her fascination with palaces and princesses. The palace incident fundamentally changed how security agencies approached crowd surveillance at high-profile locations. Emma's innocent behavior had demonstrated how easily potential threats could hide among legitimate tourists and families. New protocols were developed that balanced public access with enhanced security, ensuring that future visitors could still enjoy these historic sites while maintaining appropriate protection. Sergeant James Wellington, the Royal Guard who had initially blocked Emma's path, received a commendation for his quick response and professional handling of the situation. He often thought about the frightened little girl he had protected that day, and felt proud that his training and instincts had helped prevent a catastrophe that could have changed world history. The international cooperation sparked by the investigation led to the creation of a permanent intelligence sharing agreement among NATO allies, specifically focused on protecting cultural and symbolic targets. Emma's candy wrapper moment had inadvertently strengthened global security networks in ways that formal diplomatic negotiations had failed to achieve for decades. Emma's parents, Maria and Carlos, struggled initially with the media attention and the knowledge of how close their daughter had come to danger. However, they gradually found peace in understanding that Emma's natural curiosity and bravery had protected other families from experiencing tragedy. They established a small scholarship fund at Emma's school to support other children's educational dreams about history and travel. The 4 original suspects received lengthy prison sentences in multiple countries for their roles in the conspiracy. Viktor Petrov's cooperation with investigators continued to provide valuable intelligence about other potential threats, leading to the prevention of several additional planned attacks across Europe and North America. Emma's teacher incorporated the incident into her curriculum as an example of how ordinary citizens can make extraordinary differences through awareness and courage. The lesson emphasized that heroism often comes from simple actions taken by people who never intended to be heroes, inspiring other children to trust their instincts and speak up when something seems wrong. 1 year after the incident, Emma received an invitation to return to London for the successful royal wedding that her actions had helped protect. She watched the ceremony from a special viewing area reserved for honored guests, surrounded by security officials who had become like extended family during their shared ordeal. During the wedding celebration, Emma was introduced to the bride and groom, who personally thanked her for her inadvertent role in ensuring their special day could proceed safely. The princess gave Emma a small tiara to wear during the reception, fulfilling every little girl's fairy tale dreams in a way that no storybook could have imagined. As Emma grew older, she maintained her interest in royal history and international relations, eventually earning a scholarship to study diplomatic security at university. Her childhood experience at Buckingham Palace had planted seeds that would grow into a lifelong career, protecting others and preventing international conflicts. The candy wrapper that had originally caught Emma's attention was preserved in the palace archives as a reminder that history's most significant moments often spring from the smallest, most innocent actions. Emma's story became legendary among security professionals worldwide as proof that vigilance and quick thinking could emerge from the most unexpected sources. Looking back, Rachel Morrison often reflected that in her entire career in law enforcement, nothing had been more important than the day a curious 8-year-old girl from Ohio decided to pick up a piece of litter and accidentally save the world from a catastrophe that would have changed everything forever.